see you around.
If you would please stand as we welcome the class of 2022.
failed the essay. This is so fun. like this. How are you?
I will now ask our class marshal, Stella Densley, to have the class of 2022 seated. You may now all be seated as well. Welcome to the 2022 Friendship Service. I'm Allison Scanlon, the assistant principal of the senior class. Class of 2022, it is my pleasure to be standing here in front of you today as we gather on such a special occasion. I want to congratulate you all. High school is quite a ride. The 4 years that make up your high school experience are nothing short of a roller coaster. Growth, friendship, independence, heartbreak, these are all just a few of the things that students often go through. But you, class of 2022, you had an extra layer entirely. It's my assumption that none of you would have imagined your high school career to look as it had. No one could have predicted that during your sophomore year, things would change so drastically. The way you saw and experienced the world was not as it once had been. A global pandemic came in and turned everything upside down. Through the ups and downs, you persevered. You showed up. You worked hard and ultimately found great success. Without a doubt, you came out stronger and ready for what lies ahead. You learned that as you go through life, things will inevitably change, sometimes for the good and sometimes not. However, as you continue to navigate through life, even though things may not always be as you may have hoped or wanted, you will be able to meet those challenges with success. If these last few years have taught you anything, it's that you are prepared for the unexpected. You have all the tools necessary to ensure that all your dreams come true. So now, it's up to you to go out and make it happen. Congratulations to the class of 2022. We will miss you. Our first student essay will be presented by Jane Small.
We rode into fog, and out through fog, oh how blue, how bright the wide sea. This is a haiku by one of Japan's greatest haiku masters, Misuku Shiki. Earlier this year, I was asked to write an essay on the meaning of education, and thought it made a poignant metaphor. Yes, I'm reusing an old poem instead of finding a new one, but I'd argue that's simply epitomizing the mindset of a second semester senior. My essay discussed how learning opens minds, and how at the beginning of tackling a new subject, we may face a haze of confusion, but the knowledge we gain as we learn leads to new horizons. However, as I have continued to reflect, I've come to see that this poem could truly be applied to any new experience, and next year will certainly be a new experience for all of us. Regardless of what endeavors and adventures we are each embarking on, the common thread is that we will no longer be here at this school. No longer will we walk these hallowed halls where we have shared so many memories. No longer will we get to see the teachers who have helped us so much. We will not have the same routines or get the opportunity to see our friends every day. Our time here is over, and all we can do now is remember and appreciate everything this school has given to us. So as we gather here today to celebrate as a community, I urge you all to reflect individually. Each of our individual experiences here have been different, but this is what has made our collective time spent here so special. Here we have been allowed to explore and find the interests that most suit us. We have been provided with the level of support we each need, and most importantly, we have been able to forge connections and find the people we relate to. The friends and relationships we have made here will last a lifetime. They have shaped us into who we are and are likely what we will most remember and cherish from our time here. To speak from my own experience, all I can say is I feel a cosmic sense of gratitude towards a sophomore American Lit class that gave me so much more than an understanding of the crucible. Through this class, I got to know two of the most wonderful and amazing people and gained the kind of friendship that could inspire me to stand here before you all and speak on how much this place has meant to me, just for another chance to let them know how much I love them. It is these kinds of relationships that have made and defined our time here together. And this is why, even though the school would occasionally bore us out of our minds, it still holds such dear places in our hearts. Many of you have fears about next year, I am sure, whether it is about leaving your friends, the workload you might have, or how much you would like the new place you are living. It can be scary to face the future. However, there is solace in solidarity. Every person here is also going through a time of change. We stand here today on the precipice of new chapters in our lives, just as so many generations of Barrington students have done before. And like the countless others before us, we will be all right. These coming changes may seem terrifying and world-shaking, but we are not the first to face such obstacles, and we are not going through them alone. Each of us will learn to adapt and thrive in our new environments. And if we ever falter, we can recall the love and support from the relationships we have had here to remind us what we are capable of. We have been well prepared for the new challenges we will face, and with a little perseverance, we will all go on to achieve great things. As we stare into our fog-covered futures, ready to push forward and find our own bright blue seas, I am reminded of the inspirational final wisdom of everybody's favorite narrator, Nick Carraway. And so we'll beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past.
Thank you, James. We will now have a choral performance by our senior choral members. They will be performing The Road Home by Stephen Paulus.
can hear that will lead me home. Rise up, follow me, come away is the call, with love in your heart, as the only song. There is no such beauty as where you belong. Rise up, follow me, I will lead you home.
It is now my absolute pleasure to introduce the class of 2022's faculty speaker, Mr. Stuart Moran.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you all doing? Don't they look amazing? A little bit louder than that, come on. I know it's Barrington, but you can do it. I cannot tell you how honored and privileged I am to be the fourth person in line that you asked and the first person that said yes to being your chosen faculty member. It is honestly, it's an honor to be here. I was told that I was supposed to come up here and inspire people. When I took the senior project job on and we have to sit there and listen, and I heard that we had a pilot in the crew, that we had bilingual people who could speak to others, we had people who were creating apps to help those who needed a respite in foster care, I thought, what kind of inspiration am I? I'm literally a guy who came from a 973 person town, which is now a village because there are not enough people to call it a village. That's why people hate me back there. A village. Thank you very much, I appreciate it, Mikey. I was told to come up here and do the best that I could. So I asked Mr. Hurley if there was any way that he could get a translator in, because I was going to do the whole thing in Irish just to impress you all. We found out that that wasn't in the budget, so this is not going to be a good speech whatsoever. I was going to start with Tá an Greenach Tatnamh agus Níor Aon Scamal sa Spéir, which means it's a beautiful day and the sun is in the sky. Thankfully, because that's the only thing it could say in Irish, and if it was cloudy and wet, we were in a lot of trouble. So I did write down a few things, and I hope you don't mind that I bring them out here today. Dearly beloved, we're gathered here today to bring these to... I'm so sorry. These are the pants I wore last year to my brother-in-law's wedding, and I married them. So this could be a struggle. I'm so sorry. Yes, I know. So first off, I want to say thank you because I did have to go out and buy a pair of pants. Your children have not seen me in pants in 2 years. Do not panic. It's got nothing to do with Zoom. I just wear shorts every single day. Winter, hail, rain, sleet, or snow, that's how it is. But when I thought about this speech, I did think about marriage because I thought, here we are at this point in your career. And you've been here for 12 years. This is not about the last 4 years. This is about the last 12 years of your life, which is incredible. At Barrington Public Schools. Some of you are blow-ins and you've only been here for a year just to make it look good when you go to different colleges. I understand that. But most of you have been here for 12 years and that's an incredible thing. It really is. And I thought it's no different than marriage. Some of you are sitting here today and tomorrow more nervous than you've ever been in your life about what the future holds, thinking, have I made the right decision? Some of you are here more excited than anybody ever in the world because you know you've made the right decision and you know that your future is going to be a bright one no matter what challenges you get to face. And some of you have cold feet thinking, Mr. Hurley, can I come back and do one more year? Maybe two. Can I start in freshman again and go all over it? Because this has been your place for the last 4 years. And no matter how many challenges you've faced, you've overcome them. Some of you have just finished tests this week to make sure that you can graduate. And the great thing about these feelings is every one of them is right. So no matter if you're nervous, no matter if you're excited, no matter if you have cold feet and don't think you can go beyond this town of Barrington, it's okay. Because the great thing is, for each and every one of you out here, is that you look in front of you, you look to the side of you, and you have people who've believed in you all your life. It's incredible. We've been here for you every step of the way for the last 4 years. Some of you hate us because we've been there for you so much, right? Please finish the test. Please do it, I promise. We'll give you a grade, you'll succeed. This is going to be great. And here you are today making every single person out here proud. And how do I know that? Because you're all going to cheer on 3. 1, 2, 3. They're graduating high school and they passed the pandemic. Let's hear it, come on. And some of you are worrying if you can take on the challenges that are ahead of you, right? You think, oh no, I have so many things that I have to worry about, and I have to worry, will I be able to do this? Am I challenged enough? Am I fearful of what I have to do in the future? How can you be fearful? You literally had to get up in the middle of my classes and ask if you could go to the bathroom. That's one of the biggest challenges anyone has to face. Who would leave Mr. Moran's class? Nobody. I love my class. That's how great it is. But you did it. You got up and you said, can I please go to the bathroom? Some of you 4 or 5 times during a 40-minute class period. Totally understandable. Some of you once. Imagine that you no longer have to worry about going down the hallway with a pass. How crazy is that? Just think about it. You never have to ask, can I go down and get my free breakfast? Every single one of them go for free breakfast, by the way. Hopefully that's a thing that continues throughout the future because they love their breakfast. Remember, it's before 10. So when you ask at 10:05, I know that it's closed and that you just want to go roam the hallways. There's no greater challenge than sitting through my 6th grade puberty class. They did it as a group, not separated, all together. That's right. And you survived it. You got through all of those stories. And there's nothing here today that I'm going to say that's going to make these things change. Nothing here is going to inspire you today and tomorrow. What's going to inspire you is all the things that you're going to take on over the next few years. Think about it. I came from a village of 973 people. When I graduated high school, I couldn't go to college to be a phys ed and health teacher. I needed straight A's. I didn't get straight A's. I was a good student. I worked hard. I went to every class. I did what I needed to do, but I did not finish with the grades I needed to go on to college. Instead, I worked for the next 2 years in a steel components factory, getting covered in paraffin oil, thinking, what am I doing with my life? Then I worked in construction for another 2 years with my father, who loved me dearly. That's amazing. And then I worked in a clean room, making catheters for patients all over the world to try and help them survive. Isn't that incredible? And here I am today, because I took a chance. When I saw a commercial on TV, and my best friend, who's still my best friend today, Cormac, said, you know what? You should go and volunteer for Special Olympics. The World Games were held in Ireland in 2003, and he said, you should go and volunteer. I'm like, you know what, buddy? I will. My life is good, and I'll go and volunteer. When I volunteered, and this is all about taking a risk, taking a chance, and moving outside your comfort zone, I went there for 1 week, and I met this team from Rhode Island, and I was so inspired by them. I told them that in a year, when I travel the world, I'm going to come to your state summer games. The lady who was there with them, the coach, said, Bono from U2, Nelson Mandela, Bon Jovi, all these people were at the opening ceremonies in Ireland. She said, we get the weathermen to open our ceremony in the URI. She's like, what are you coming over for? And I said, yeah. So I came over a year later, and I met the love of my life. It was the coach that I met in Ireland that was the coach of the Special Olympics team from URI. Thank you. I wasn't expecting that. So I took a risk. I came over for 2 weeks and I fell madly and deeply in love. The sad part was she didn't. So I had to take a chance again, and I had to come back again and convince her I was the one for her. So I did, 7 more times. This is a true story. She finally gave in and was like, you know what, you're not a bad guy, and you can keep coming over. So I did. I came here, started a new life, and I had so many roller coasters. Within the first week, my father-in-law-to-be was diagnosed with a brain tumor. Totally unexpected, right? And that's what I'm going to talk to you about, is everything in the future is totally unexpected. That's the great thing about the future. You can shape it and mold it into anything that you want it to be if you give yourself a chance. So I'm going to leave you with 5 things that you should do. First one, be kind. There's nothing cooler than coming into a school and seeing students raise their head and say, hey, Mr. Moran, how are you this morning? Small, simple act. Literally takes 3 seconds. And it changed my day every day that you were in here. You stood up and you walked past, and there's so many students that often put their head down, maybe because they're having a bad day. But most of you here, I can honestly say, walked by and said, "Hey, Mr. Moran, what's up?" Not caring of what was up. You didn't care if I was having a bad day or a good day. You just smiled and you said hi. That's being kind, and that changes a person's day. Continue to do it, because you don't know who's having a bad day, when they're having a bad day, and that one act of kindness can change their life, never mind their day. Secondly, be respectful. My mother taught me this all the time. She threatened me with a wooden spoon probably, 40 times in my life. I knew we didn't have a wooden spoon in the house, so it was false claims. It was never going to happen. But she was right. Being respectful opens so many doors, and I can guarantee you that it'll open doors for you. So when you go out into this world, some of you on your own, some of you with your friends as you go on into the next stage of your life, be respectful. Because when you do, doors will open, and I can guarantee you that. That's why I'm here today. I was respectful when I went into my interview. I told them all the best Irish jokes I possibly could, and guess what? I got the job right here in Barrington. What do you say about that? Woo! Still not sure how I haven't been fired, but that's okay. Thirdly, take chances. And this one I can't stress enough. I was a person who didn't take chances. I loved my small town life. I loved that everybody knew my business. I loved living in a village of 973, 76 people. I think they had 3 kids in the last year that it grows it. But take chances. Don't be afraid to. I'm not talking about jumping off roofs into pools when you go to college. That's not a chance you want to take. I'm talking about taking chances in life. Fourthly, challenge yourself. Don't stay in the status quo. Get up every day and say to yourself, I want to take on something new. I don't care what it is. Walking in a different direction. Going to talk to new people. Trying new things. Challenge yourself and step outside of your box, outside of your comfort zone. Trust me, I did, and look at me now. Yeah, that's not a good point, actually. Finally, believe in yourself. And this one is the most important. I cannot tell you how much it works, but affirming yourself every day that you are the best person that you can be works. No matter what walk of life you're going to take, what path you're going to take, your path is going to change multiple times. The only thing that can stay the same is you believing in yourself. Just like everybody here believes in you now. We'll always be here for you, sadly. Well, I'm hoping to move on at some point, but we'll be here. I'll be here for the next 30 years, I was told by my financial advisor. So for the next 30 years, I will definitely be here. But the people in front of you, they will always be here for you. And they will always tell you to believe in yourself. No matter what path you go down, believe in yourself. And class of 2022, you inspire me every single day throughout the past 4 years, throughout the past 12 years. To Jill, who danced in my 3rd grade class, thank you. For Dominic Tutabene, for growing a mustache in my 6th grade class, thank you. And for all of you that have put up with me throughout the past 10 years in this Barrington Public School District, thank you. You're an inspiration. I cannot wait to see all the great things that you do. Thank you, class of 2022. Also, Mr. Hurley said I could only talk for 3 minutes. It's about Irish time, 3 minutes right there. Thank you.
He's the best. Our next speaker is a student essay presented by Lucas Matthews.
Wow, class of 2022. This is it. This is the year we've all been waiting for. And yet this year hasn't been all that is traditionally expected of senior year. But how many high school graduating classes can say that they not only graduated during a global pandemic, but also spent the majority of their high school years during a pandemic and made it through? I know I've not been with you at BHS for very long. I became a roadie in February 2021, having moved from a rural town in Maryland just last year. But what I can say is that our experiences have been very similar, especially over the past 2 years with this pandemic. And I have thankfully come to know many of you very well, and I am very proud to be a graduating BHS Eagle with you all. Yes, the past 2 years have been particularly challenging for all of us, but I encourage us to look at the past 2 years and not just grimace at all the hardships we have faced, but to look at what we've learned, because surely we've learned a lot. One lesson that I highlight today, I personally believe, is chief among all we've learned through all of this, and that is mindfulness. Now you might hear mindfulness, you might think of the Mindspace app or some people in a yoga studio chanting, "Oh." According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, mindfulness is defined as the practice of maintaining a non-judgmental state of heightened or complete awareness of one's thoughts, emotions, and experiences on a moment-to-moment basis. Now, I know often we do judge our thoughts, but think about when we're all in isolation in 2020. Those bygone days. Many of us had time to sit and reflect and really get to terms with ourselves. By being forced to calm the chaos of the outside world and go inward, many of us developed this useful skill. Sit for a moment and think about how much mindfulness we've had to have throughout our high school experience with the pandemic. We've had to filter out all the chaos in the media, the stress emanating from everywhere else just to get through the day. Laggy Zooms, illness, quarantine, loss, and everything else that we had to face threatened to take away our inner peace. Though at times these pressures broke us down, we did not let them defeat us. But this mindset has not come easily. We all could have very well given up and said adios and just went on our way. However, this is not the class of 2022, nor is it anyone here right now, because we are here. We chose to be mindful of all the stressors and anxieties around us and not let them rule us. We chose to persevere with a positive and mindful mindset because that is truly who we are. Think about how useful this is for life. Life is a beautiful journey, but it's often accompanied by expectations falling short, challenges and setbacks which are often out of our control. If COVID has taught us anything, it is that despite what the uncertainty of life may throw at us, we refuse to be ruled by our circumstances. We choose to be mindful and intentional about the thoughts we have, for they guide our destiny. We move forward triumphantly. Learning is a lifelong process. Learning not only happens in the classroom, but out in the real world. Learning is complex, and is not often always the most glamorous to watch. It can be painful, it can be embarrassing, it can be uncomfortable, it can be challenging. We all have our own lessons to learn, and truly this pandemic has been an extraordinary period of growth for all of us. In one way or another, we've all grown in some way. You might have learned a new skill, found a new hobby, you might be earning better grades during the pandemic. My point is, through the learning process, it helps incredibly to be mindful, and we've learned this valuable tidbit of life advice together. Life will be what it will be. There'll be periods of prosperity and periods of intense hardship. However, what I can tell you for sure, class of 2022, is that through our high school experience, we have learned the masterful art of mindfulness and its impact on our everyday lives. I invite you to be mindful for a moment. Think about every good grade, every awesome memory, every success you've had as of your lifetime as of now. Think about how that makes you feel. That energy, coupled with the power of mindfulness, is the greatest recipe for success that there can ever be. Whether you're going to college, trade school, joining the armed forces, or taking on whatever journey life has for you, I encourage you to be mindful. Congratulations, class of 2022. We've truly earned this. Thank you.
We will now have our farewell address by Miss Megan Court and Mr. Patrick Scott. Just Mr. Scott. Give him a big round of applause.
Thank you. Mrs. Court was not able to be here today, so she trusted me to do this on my own, which, as many of you know, could be a little scary. So, every year, my mom writes this brutal Christmas letter to all of her friends that alerts them about the reality of life. She doesn't pull any punches. But it does make you think. This is my intent today. So if this does not fit your stereotypical graduation speech filled with rainbows and flatteries, you can blame her. She's right back there. However, if you are willing to do some thoughtful listening, here we go. What I'm going to offer you today is perhaps a unique mantra for the future that may save your life. The question I started with is, what are you looking for in life? What's enough? And the answer? Strive for less. Yes, Contrary to what some may tell you at this juncture in your lives, I'm asking you to pause and take stock in what is important in the world and in your lives, and simplify. The first area of concentration on simplifying is our stuff. What do you need versus what do you want and why? Keeping up with the Joneses is a true lesson in futility. The Baylor University magazine published an article concerning American consumerism. Here are some highlights. America represents just 5% of the world's population, and yet we consume 1/4 of the world's resources, 17% of the world's timber. According to most recent US statistical abstract, we throw away 232 million tons of garbage. In fact, Americans spend more on trash bags to get rid of our excess than 90% of the world's nations spend on everything they purchase. How are we paying for all of this? More than 40% of American families spend more than they earn. Americans will owe $840 billion on their credit cards alone. To keep up with our lifestyles, too many of us work too many hours, take on second mortgages of our homes, and discover that we still don't have enough. We're already accumulating more stuff than anyone on earth. Are we the happiest nation on earth? Is our faith stronger? Are we better adjusted, less fearful, more content? No. Something has gone awry. We have staggering rates of mental illness, gun violence, debt up to our eyeballs, chronic obesity, and waste much more than we consume. How is this happening? Fear, greed, social media? Do people really need to like a post of you buying new shoes for you to feel good about yourselves? My suggestion, we've lost focus of what is important and cannot fathom striving for less. More is all around us. Do more, be more, work more, play more, more. And the cost? Our souls? Simplify. A second area in need of simplification is our future. Why are we choosing a certain career path? Is it to satisfy your parents? Impress your friends? For the projected salary? If you answered yes to any of these questions, stop. That road is a trap. Simplify your future by finding something that you're passionate about. Again, my mom brought me to see the Dead Poets Society once, and I cried my eyes out. There's a part where Robin Williams quotes Whitman, "Oh me, oh life, of the questions of these recurring, of the endless trains of the faithless, of cities filled with the foolish." Ask around. Is there anything more defeating than a job, day after day, and dreading it? It isn't sustainable. And the repercussions are enormous on your physical and mental health. I'm not saying that you won't have tough days. However, when the yearly tally sheet registers more good than not, then you're doing okay. Read the news. There are plenty of problems in the world. Choose something that is other-centered. Philanthropy and empathy are the two most powerful means to supply your perspective. Go after something you're passionate about. Simplify. The final area that one can simplify is the self, your inner self. Oftentimes as a high school teacher, I find one thing we stray too far from in our curriculum is teaching about mindfulness. Honestly, it's tragic. Because in our current world, being able to understand ourselves seems critical. Pema Chödrön, the preeminent Buddhist nun, says that when we're training in the art of peace, we're not given any promises that because of our noble intentions, everything will be okay. In fact, there are no promises of fruition at all. Instead, we are encouraged simply to look deeply at joy and sorrow, laughing and crying, and hoping and fearing, all that lives and dies. We learn that what truly heals is gratitude and tenderness. She strikes on some important concepts here. Life is not always going to be this good. Understanding that and knowing how to deal with it is the trick. And the way out is through a humble look at the self. Knowing yourself is a great step toward a simple and peaceful existence. St. Francis understood this many years ago when he urged us that when there's hatred, bring love. When there's offense, bring pardon. When there's discord, bring union. When there's error, bring truth. When there's doubt, bring faith. When there's despair, bring hope. When there's darkness, bring light. And when there's sadness, bring joy. The truth in these words is certainly a good start in your life of simplicity. So go home tonight, hug your parents, and thank them. Take a deep breath and know that just being you is good enough. Thank you.
At this time, our class marshal, Stella Densley, will come out to process our students onward.